Have you ever been to a volcano when it was erupting?
You're now listening to Super Hoopers.
They're a bunch of guys who ain't never played the game.
Welcome to Super Hoopers, an inconsequential discussion of the week's NBA news. I'm your host, Matt Hill. With me, as
You're
always.
going pretty fast, buddy.
I know. Well, it's just like people who listen, they're used to this whole
What
spiel.
about all the new listeners?
Okay, all right.
What if some of our social media takes off?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we
That's
got
right.
a new,
That's right.
we got a new
We've
listener.
done various campaigns recently. Maybe we'll cover that in our guerrilla marketing segment.
Yeah. Shout out to Dave Peter.
That voice is my co-host, John Hill.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Good. Just relaxing here in my
Just
office.
chilling.
Yeah. With us this week is Tom Kauffman, writer, producer of the hit television show Rick and Morty.
I like how you slowed down to do my intro.
I slow down
I'm
for the
excited for
important
this.
stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, Rick and Morty. I think if you're a fan of this podcast, you probably are watching Rick and Morty. If you're
Probably.
if you're not, you should. It's the funniest show on TV, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah, if you listen
Hot
to this
take.
podcast, you're probably a 13-year-old boy.
It's true. It's true. Well, you're
don't know.
you're like a comedy nerd who loves the NBA. So
I don't know. There's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of
funnier
Rick and-
shows than Rick and Morty.
No.
How dare you?
The only thing funnier is CNN. Sorry. No, there's a lot of like NBA Twitter really loves Rick and Morty.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
I'm really excited to have you on,
course.
Tom.
Who was the center for the Milwaukee Bucks 3 seasons ago?
Larry Sanders? Are you talking about the guy who?
Okay, there's a guy. So I heard one of our very first there's a famous person who watched Rick and Morty. I guess when the Meeseeks episode aired first season, a fan wrote on Reddit that he was at that game and yelled, "I'm Mr. Meeseeks," and then Larry Sanders from the court during a timeout looked at him and went, "Look at me!"
Oh, nice.
I was like, "Oh shit, I should find out who you are."
He's the guy who quit for weed.
Yeah, he quit.
He straight
I
up
heard
quit.
he's-
He had like a $10-15 million contract. Like, what was it? He signed a 5-year, $100 million contract, and then was just like, nah.
Just gonna do weed.
I think I'm just really into weed, and they wouldn't let him smoke weed, so he just
He
retired.
just left, but it was
took the money.
guaranteed money. Yeah,
He took the money to smoke weed.
He sounds like a hero.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he is a hero. This is the story I heard about him. Right, I hope I could tell the story. I heard it this weekend. Right.
Yeah, whatever.
This is from the guy Larry Sanders, RA at college. So
Nice.
Guy,
So this is real. And you
guy-
read this on the internet, so it's got to be real.
Some guy runs into the RA's office like crying. He's like, "Somebody just threw a shoe at me," and the guy's like, "The RA's like, okay." And do you know who it was? He's like, "No, but I have the shoe." And he picks up the shoe, and it's like size 24, right? So it's a giant shoe. So the RA goes to Larry Sanders. He's like, "Larry, did you throw a shoe at this guy?" And Larry's like, "No, man, I throw no shoe." He's like, "All right, we have the shoe, Larry." And he's like, "All right, sorry, won't do it again."
I feel like the idea that the person didn't know who threw the shoe at him when it's someone who's like 7 feet tall,
Yeah.
probably.
Look, this is the story I heard.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
So I don't know. In college, I used to throw donuts at people. I would live on the 5th floor, and we would throw donut holes down at people.
Oh,
So
really?
We figured, like, if you got hit by a donut, you wouldn't be mad. You'd be like, oh, you'd be mad. Then you realize you got hit by a donut.
You got hit by a
You're
donut,
like,
yeah,
oh, it's
yeah.
raining donuts.
There's a girl from my high school that she was a little stuck up, right? Like kind of like a little too cool for us. And then I ran into her in college once at Penn State, and she was just being drunk and stupid, and I threw a bagel at her head. And then for years, every time I would like someone bring up her name and be like, the last time I saw her, I threw a bagel at her head.
What
Dang,
do you
John.
What do you think
John,
she
you're
thinks
just
of you?
Yeah, you're admitting to like assault on the
You
podcast.
called her stuck up.
She was.
You said she
Facts.
was being a drunk idiot, and then you said you
Facts.
through a bagel at her.
Facts.
All
So
facts.
who's the hero?
Yeah, John, you willingly told this story.
Look, man, I'm the revolution, all right? She was really pretty. That was the
if
thing.
you
Oh, good. So if
yeah,
she's
you were
listening, she
like-
should feel like she didn't get
So
hit
you
with
were
a bagel.
you were going like
Yeah.
the 3rd grade route of like.
No, she was really. Here's the thing: she was really pretty and stuck up and looked down on me.
All right.
And then at one point, I
You
I
proved
was
it
on
right
an
by
equal.
throwing
I was
food
on
at
an
her.
equal level of her, and I hit her with a bagel.
Oh, okay.
I've seen her since, actually.
right.
Do you
She's
think that
really
there
nice.
was she a white woman?
Yes,
Do you think there was some
absolutely.
race things
every
going on?
opportunity I get to throw something at a white person, I take it.
Okay.
I really there was I will.
Oh, I meant
that-
from her side at you, not your side at her.
It's yeah. Those,
so it
those
really
things are
is-
interlocked.
It really
Those
is violence on many sides, like our president says.
Yes.
So,
funny
but if you couldn't tell, it's the
that guy.
off season, so we're not really going to talk. There's nothing. There's no. I guess the schedule was released this week.
Yeah, whatever.
We're going to talk mostly about Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Well, I want to
think.
talk about
but
your
wait,
whole
but
career.
Tom, what do you know about the NBA?
What I know about the NBA is that about 5 years ago, I decided I like college basketball way more.
Oh,
than
So
the
you're a
NBA.
racist?
Excuse me?
Nobody would like college more than the pros. Like the pros
Only
is
rate.
way better.
This is our take.
Yeah,
Oh.
this is only you. If you like college better than the pros, the only reason is you must be a racist.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
I
you
don't
just
know because I really like BYU and Gonzaga, and I don't think that makes me a racist. I think I like fundamentals.
Yeah, and 4-year players.
That's what racists say.
Yeah.
That's
So
not
why
what
do
I
you?
actually
So what do you like? Are you serious? Do you like college better?
I do.
You just
'cause
like
I
that-
do. I don't like the money involved.
Yeah, that's the racism. Just leak.
You
it out.
realize
I mean,
there's
you
like-
could say,
I just don't like
sure.
certain types of people
you
having a lot of money.
you don't like-
and
No,
a
I
lot-
don't think Chris Kamen should have been a millionaire either. By the way, he went to my college, and now I hope he doesn't listen to this, or no one
Trust
at my
me, he
college
doesn't.
listens
He
to
probably
this.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Okay, I met him. He's actually very nice. He did an interview.
we have a theory on this podcast that he's actually Bigfoot, and
I heard that shaved. Yeah,
Shaved. yeah. So
I
can you-
met
can
him,
you-
and I cannot dispel that theory.
Yeah,
That's
that's
nice,
good.
nice.
That's good. That's good.
Anonymous sources once again.
Yeah.
Sources close to Chris Kamen cannot deny
Very
he's
close.
Bigfoot.
Yep.
Okay, so you're a college basketball fan.
Yeah, but also because the
you
uni-
realize there's money in college basketball. You realize all the players get paid that are good.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I also know that the bad ones don't. So.
Oh,
that's
that
kinda
makes it
nice.
better.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But
That's true.
it also stems because I'm a Pistons fan, but the Pistons stopped being good about 2009
Yes.
until
right.
now.
I love that team though. That
was a fun
that
team.
2004 finals team or
Yeah.
title team. That was a great team. Ben
was a
Wallace,
good team.
Chauncey.
I loved it because you just watched, like, you saw Karl Malone and Gary Payton with a foot in the grave that series, and it was just like,
It was
kind
kinda
of fuck
nice.
out of this league already.
Yeah, it was
It's time
kinda
for
nice.
the Chauncey
That-
Billups era.
That
Yeah.
team just had like so much soul too. That
Yeah.
Detroit team. I don't know. I'm a Laker fan kind of, and I remember watching that series going, I like this Detroit team better. Like the Laker team had Gary Payton and Karl Malone ring chasing. Kobe obviously not that likable. So yeah,
Yeah,
I was pulling for you guys.
I mean, it was, well, then you got your wish.
I did. I did. I was living in Japan watching the games. I think they'd show the games like at night, like edited. It was pretty fun.
Like, what do you mean edited?
Like they would edit out all the bad stuff.
Oh,
they'd edit
oh.
out the free throws.
Oh,
they'd edit out like the timeouts. So it was like super quick. It was actually a great way
Did
to
they
watch
edit
it.
out the beards? That's what I know about Japan, having been there recently. Is
Really?
No
They-
one has a beard because they think beards are dirty. That's probably a stereotype.
So they
but-
CGI out the beards in movies.
No, they
No,
probably
they
don't.
just put a blurry thing on it.
Oh, all
Most of the Japanese videos I know, when they don't like something, they just put a little
Oh
blurry
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, you're
yeah.
confusing beards with
No, it's
I mean, let's
hair.
just say
It
a pubic hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very close.
But they don't blur out the men's pubic hair.
They blur out the men's business. Not that I know.
I guess we'll just have to pull examples to support our arguments.
Yeah.
Everyone just go ahead and Google Japanese porn. Let us know. Let us know how blurry things are.
Can I tell you a story about okay, so this was the era of the Pistons. Like, they won the championship in 2004,
Right.
which was a big deal in Michigan. And then a lot of people seem to forget that they almost won the championship the next year. They went to Game 7 with the Spurs, and they only lost by like 6 points or whatever. But so I was in college, and that year they were like in the conference finals against the Miami Heat, and they won in like 6 games or something. And everyone was like super pumped. And there was this car in this apartment complex's parking lot that had been, like, we thought abandoned. So we thought people were like, we should go flip it over. There was no rioting. It's a town of 25,000 people. So we ran out there, and then I got cold feet and didn't put my hands on it. And then my friends and I, they tipped it over, and we all cheered. And then we immediately switched from like, oh, that was awesome, we did it, to like super scared. Because like we thought someone was going to call the cops, and we were like, I think someone was like, you know that's someone's car. Like,
Yeah.
we
That's
thought
like
it was
some
just like
student.
the parking lot's car. But it was like, someone's going to hear this and come out. So we ran back to the apartment complex, and we're like, fuck, what do we do? And we decided to go back and roll it back over. So we walked out and played the character of people who didn't tip it over, but we were like, oh my God, there's a car rolled over. What do you think what could this have been from the Pistons? Maybe, don't say that. Too specific. So we went out there.
Hooligans about earlier.
And we made such a big show about rolling it back over. And that I did. I put my hands on it then. And then when it rolled back over, the fucking what do you call it? Antenna of the car flipped over and hit me in the eye. And I had to go to an urgent care facility. And I just said that I poked my eye with my finger.
Wow.
And that was all because it wasn't even the finals that we were celebrating.
That kind of
That's
imagination will get you a job on Rick and Morty.
Yeah, that's so funny.
We used to roll pumpkins out into like a 40-mile-an-hour street.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, they just explode. It was fantastic.
I think another destructive night at Penn State. I always got destructive when I visited. I rolled a bowling ball down a street into a crowd of people. We went into this other frat. It was the frat that I belonged to, but it was Penn State. So we went to their house and they let us in, but they were each frat in each college is completely different. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So these guys were just sucked. And I was like, fuck that. So I stole a case of beer and on the way out there's a bowling ball. I was like, well, got to steal the bowling ball. So I took the bowling ball and then I did my best Kingpin, Bill Murray from Kingpin, what's his name? Earl, whatever. So just hurl it down to a crowd of people. And there was a guy sitting on the curb and it just bounced around him.
Ugh.
But I was like, ooh, after because it veered left and I was like, ooh, that would have breaking someone's ankle on a bowling ball on a random night, that would have been bad.
These poor guys, they're just they're just nerds, and you take their beer and their bowling ball.
Yeah.
It's all they had in the world.
I wanted you so bad to be like, it was a crowd of stuck-up girls that I threw a bowling ball at. Just find out that you think every woman is stuck up and you throw things at them.
But this poor fraternity, they're like, oh, we finally have friends, and then John stabs them in the back.
No,
takes all their stuff.
This is Penn State. There's no love lost with Penn State.
Oh, okay.
Everyone at Penn State's horrible.
All right.
I think we've all is it safe to assume that everyone here has stolen something from a frat house?
Yeah. Matt might have never been to an actual party before.
Frat parties?
I mean, there's a chance. Yeah.
Just any party.
Look at him trying to pretend there could have
I
been.
went to 2 frat parties in college.
Yeah.
I was an upstanding young gentleman.
Yeah, not me.
Not on this episode. On a later episode, I'll tell my story of rushing a frat in character.
Character.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what was this?
As a foreign exchange student, I rushed, pretending to be a foreign exchange student from Germany.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Hansen Voengel from Rotterdam.
They were probably like, who is
I
this
rushed
guy?
a frat as that character.
They were probably like, dude, we don't even want this guy's money.
No, they wanted me to
He can't
join.
even- yeah.
They gave us a bid, me and my friend Russ McCarthy from Australia, who was also rushing. Anyways, I'll tell the whole story later on. Let's talk Rick and Morty.
Okay.
So season 3 is excellent.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, season 1 and 2 were great, right? And season 3,
Yes, I take all the credit for all the season.
Well, let's actually go back to the very beginning because we've known each other for almost 10 years. I've been in LA 10 years, and we probably met.
Yeah, I mean, I could. Should I tell the story of when I met you or no?
Oh no,
John threw a bagel at somebody. It threw a bowling ball.
Can I do it? Can I say it in vague? That I won't
You
give any
can say it
specifics.
in vague terms because here's
John's editing this episode, so he
here's
can
the
always
fantastic. Then,
when
yeah,
you
let's
when
just
you
say it.
take the bagel throw, the bowling ball, and add this story to it, it really paints a really bad picture.
Yeah.
It's not.
Although maybe what you're saying now is what people are imagining is a lot worse than what the truth is. So we should probably just
tell
say
the truth. John, tell the truth.
Oh God, go for it, Tom.
It's just a short. I'll tell the short vague story.
Yeah.
I was at my friend Dave's house or apartment, and John lived in the same complex, and I didn't know John, but John knew Dave. So John came over to kind of hide in the apartment because there was a person that had been with him over the night, and things hadn't gone well. Just personality differences, I think, and that person wanted to leave the apartment complex in the middle of the night, but that person didn't have a buzzer to get out of the gate. So that person was still waiting in his or her car at the gate to get out when John woke up in the morning. So this person had stayed in their like apartment complex parking structure, angry and awake for hours. And John woke up to find that, so he ran into Dave's apartment to hide, and then told us the story. And that was how I met John Hill.
Yep.
And I was like, we're gonna get along.
So John,
there's
Let me
parts
just-
of that is very true.
let me flesh this out. So John takes a girl back, right?
No, that's not true.
A person.
a
That is-
person. Okay,
that is not true.
They fight. The person leave. Why didn't you let the person out?
No,
at
You're
midnight,
missing
in the middle of the
points.
night.
A lot of points. It was
You just
not,
wanted to punish them.
No, there was no romance involved. We were at Dave Lyon's house, a friend of ours, right? Big party. A person drove me and other people back, right? It wasn't just like me and some girls, like a group of us. And then she got really mean and actually talked bad about a mutual friend that she knew, and like very like I hold this mutual friend at a very high standard, and like, and then they were trying to get out. The buzzer wasn't working, and
Your
they started,
buzzer.
my buzzer, my clicker, and then they started yelling at me, and then I was like, I don't know what to do. Stop yelling at me, you know. And then they were just like being belligerent, and I was like, oh, the buzzer doesn't work. I don't know. Fuck it, I'm going upstairs. And then we fell
Wake up in
asleep.
the morning, and that person's still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, that's a
Oh, okay.
horrible-
Well, that's way better. I assumed there was a whole sexual thing.
No,
that
no,
went
no,
down.
no, no,
Oh,
not
okay.
at all, not at all, not even close. Like that man or woman was not attractive, and they were
Oh,
the only
Jesus
person to drive me and my roommate home.
You had saved yourself, and then you like rolled all your progress back.
Yep.
Listeners out there, John's learned a lot over the years.
I've
He's-
learned a
he's-
lot. Yeah, these events are very far apart.
Right.
You know.
10 years ago. So, anyways, you wanted to go back to 10 years ago when you met Tom.
Yeah. So that is how I met Tom, and I didn't realize that's how we met until you told another mutual friend that.
Yeah, I've been telling everyone.
Yeah. It's like
It's actually episode 8 of Rick and Morty is based on
about this kidnapping.
Yeah.
about this sexual encounter gone wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't leave the garage.
Rick kidnaps someone, fucks them.
Yeah, because
And then they wake up and Rick runs into Morty's room.
Rick
And then
can't
tells
get
him-
it up. He can't get it up, and he doesn't want anybody to know about him, so he traps the person in the garage.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That's a good circle. So that's how we met, and then you've been doing just writing. You've just been doing comedy since then.
Yeah.
What is that journey like for people who don't? Because I think that's one thing that you just see an end product like Rick and Morty, and you don't realize the years that go getting there.
Yeah.
You don't realize the sex teenagers.
The sex
Oh,
teenager. There's
that is
another
like
one.
go
Now
into
that
it.
one
Hey
I'll
guys,
talk about.
Google that. It'll go to a little website called channel101.com.
That was a show. That was a show that Tom did.
Yeah,
called-
the
it was
funding's
called-
been pulled from that website, so it might not play in the player very efficiently. But
I worked on that show too.
oh, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
I worked on every episode.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did sound for
But,
that. So
yeah,
yeah.
sex teenagers was a show Tom did.
Yeah, so I got involved. My journey has been pretty charmed actually, because like my friend Dave was Dan Harmon's assistant.
Yeah.
When I moved out
shout
here.
out Dave Seeger.
Yeah, and Dan also created Channel 101, and me and Dave at that time had the #1 or #2 show on Channel 101 when I moved out here. And this was pre-community
Oh, what
for
show was
Dan
that?
Harmon. It was Making Mistakes. It was
Yeah,
like a
making
Wonder
mistakes.
Years,
That's right.
thing.
Yep.
So I had written that from Michigan, and when I moved out here, like, Dan Harmon wanted to meet me, wanted to meet the person who had the #1 show with Dave. And like, I met him, and it was really good, and he was really complimentary, and Community was just starting to take off. So he like very quickly, and Dave did a lot of facilitating and also wrote half of everything I'm about to talk about. We ended up doing webisodes for Community early on, even before it had aired.
Yes.
And Sony was
Oh.
just like, we have some money to promote this show. And it was like the Office webisodes were
The
really
Greendale.
huge at that time.
The Greendale
So-
show, right?
What do you mean?
Was it the Greendale?
We did the 5 straight A's of Greendale, which was like a orientation video if you were going to go to Greendale Community College. But again, this is before the episode ever aired.
I'm in
the
one
show
of
ever
those.
aired. Yeah, we're all in them, I think.
That's
I think we
right.
cast,
I did
like-
one with full circle, Justin Rowland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, I don't even
He's
remember.
like trying to get an ex-girlfriend or something, and I'm like, dude, she doesn't live here or something like that.
Dang, that was your one line.
Yeah, I was struggling too. I
What
was.
a- what a
I
delivery.
remember because I'm not an actor, and I was like trying my best.
You could have been the next Justin Roiland if you had
I
like
know,
nailed
if
that
I
line.
nailed it. Ugh. Too busy kidnapping.
too busy going out and buying the best throwing bagels.
Yeah. Just working on
Man,
that
dude,
arc.
I need your most aerodynamic bagels.
Could I get an everything bagel? Because I think those will be the heaviest when they hit someone, especially an ugly girl. My words, I'm John Hill.
So eventually, I guess then Dan Harmon gets Rick and Morty. He's staffing up.
Actually, Justin, I talked more with Justin about Rick and Morty at that time because because Dan was still doing Community. And I just had heard, I think we all had, in our friend group had heard that Justin had sold the show to Adult Swim and they had made a pilot. So I just, was talking to him about it once and talking to Ryan Ridley as well, who was
Shout out Ryan Ridley.
Ryan Ridley. Ryan really, I think, helped facilitate putting me in Justin's ear as a potential writer. So when I remember just texting Justin or emailing him being like, I would love the opportunity to submit a writing packet. Like I went around agents and everything. I was like, hey, Justin, I'd love to submit a writing packet. And then I don't know if he replied or not, but almost the next thing I know is that 2 months later at a party, another one of our friends, Drew Hancock, came up and was like, hey, congratulations on the job on Rick and Morty. And everyone knew I had been hired except for me.
Oh, wow.
At this party because Justin, Ryan, and Dan all assumed the other person was telling me. So when I got to this party, I didn't know.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I ran up to Ridley and was like, did I get my first writing job ever without knowing it or interviewing or anything? And he was like, oh yeah, sorry.
That's amazing.
No one called you. So
no one told you.
That is not a typical story. That's
yeah.
a pretty charmed.
But you had been
But you have been a really good writer for a really long time.
And making a lot of product and...
Well, they also pulled from Channel 101 community, which we're all a part of, and we know that we're doing great things there. So we really trust each other. So they had no problem hiring. Eric Acosta and Wade Randolph were the other writers that they hired
shout
for
out to
season.
Eric and Wade.
Yeah, and it was very comfortable because we all knew each other and we had a good working flow.
Yeah.
So what are the differences between season 1 and say season 3? Because season 1, it's the show's not a hit. You don't know what the show is, and it's just a few of you guys. Mm-hmm. In season 3, I'd imagine you have kind of a bigger staff.
Yeah, well, season 1, it was we were really just trying to find the voice of the characters. I mean, there was enough fleshed out in the pilot to have a good base, but we didn't know until midway through the season that it was the show really hits when Morty is pushing back hard on Rick. And when we give Morty these little wins here and there, it really helps the show quite a bit. And that actually came down from Lazo at Adult Swim. He was one of the first people to say he loved the more activated Morty.
Lazo is the head of
Adult Swim. Yeah. And people, we all love to pretend notes are terrible and networks don't know what they're doing, but the Adult Swim has been fantastic. With Rick and Morty, because even the parts where Lazo's a Southern gentleman, and there was one part where he was I don't know if this part works really, but y'all know what y'all doing. I mean, you know how to write the show better than I do, so y'all just trust your gut. And it was that was the note. Even something he thought didn't work, he was still right.
But as a writer, that's helpful. You're okay, something is maybe not translating here. I need to look at it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we got. I mean, he was right. It was a bunch of racist slurs, and then we just pulled them all out. I fought to keep some in.
I know.
I thought it'd be edgy.
Now, when you start out, this is like you said, this is your first thing, right?
Yeah.
You're going from web stuff and probably not making a ton of. We were making a lot of money.
I was on. Heavy unemployment.
Yeah, right. We all were. We were all broke.
For those people who don't know, Channel 101, it's a monthly film festival, and the shows are 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So you had to go from making a 5-minute show, which you were very skilled at. You had made a ton of these, to 21 minute show, right?
Yeah, that was really weird. I mean, because I had only done short form, as we call it in the biz when we're trying to make it sound more legitimate than a 3-minute thing. Oh, it's short form comedy. But I remember, I got the first script that wasn't written by Dan, Justin, or Ryan Ridley. The third script of the first season.
So Ryan Ridley is the head writer there.
He is. Yeah, he is now. I guess he always kind of was. It just wasn't as defined in the early seasons.
Okay.
So would you say when you walk in or you're getting ready, right? Like, are you excited? Are you intimidated? Like, this is like
First season?
yeah,
Yeah.
like just day one, like going from like, web comedy that wasn't paying us to
yeah.
I have a chance to make a cartoon that millions of people can watch.
Yeah, I was super excited, but I was definitely trying. I had a fraud complex, like I didn't belong there. I mean, everyone was older than me, at least 5 years older than me. They had all known each other for at least 5 more years than
Yeah.
I had known any of them. And, they had a comfortable rapport that I didn't necessarily have with them. And also, I think that those guys' first season, like, I was easily the least, like, just in the room funny.
Okay.
Everyone else was like, Eric Acosta is a stand-up,
Eric
Wade's
is-
super funny, the rest of those guys are great. And so I was I just made the decision first season that, like, I'm going to pretend like this is no big deal, like, outwardly.
Yeah.
And then when I have to write this first draft, which I did, I'm going to meticulously work on it. Like, it was like, I luckily got, like, more than a week, I think, to write the draft. And I was just in it all day long
Yeah.
for all of those days, which is probably not the best way to write a script, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I kept making mistakes, but I got to make them early enough that I could catch them 3 days later. And I learned, and luckily the thing I learned was, like, the best thing you can do is turn in a clean draft that isn't too ambitious with, like, things you think are funny, because, like, then you're sort of neglecting what the room thought was funny. You're, like,
Got it.
replacing what the room laughed at.
Just to be clear for people
Yeah.
who aren't familiar with the process.
I'm just rambling.
No. I just like you would have outlined that script in
Yes.
the room, right? So the team of writers, they outline the script, and then you're sent off to go write the draft.
Yeah.
So you didn't want to go like too crazy.
Right.
You wanted to just turn in like a
I wanted to turn a faithful execution of the
but with
outline.
probably with like the best jokes possible.
Yeah, and it was and then that's what you do within those parameters that you as a room have discussed. You try and add your personal flair, and that script, like, thank God, because, like, I really feel like I could have gotten fired. Thank God, like, everyone loved it when I brought it in. They were like,
So
this
what
is-
episode
for
was
the
that from
fans.
the first season?
That was M. Night Shyamalan's. That was the
There's like a billion
simulation
twists.
inside a simulation
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
a
yeah,
simulation.
Right.
That was our very first thing inside a thing inside a thing.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is our.
And then in season
Now
2,
it's
there's
our
like a
go-to.
Stephen Colbert episode, right? Which
Yeah.
I think is,
Thing
yeah,
inside a thing inside a thing.
So
The Inception episode is.
But how much of that draft that you turned in is what we saw on air?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'd like maybe 20%, maybe
So then
15%.
then that gets rewritten again.
Yeah, it gets Dan Harmon does what we call harmonizing, which is he goes word by word from the top of the script to the bottom of the script, no matter whose draft it is. Because, like, my draft could go up to Ridley, who could punch it up, who could go up to Justin, who could punch it up, who it goes up to Dan, and Dan will either rewrite all of it if he feels so inclined or leave stuff in. I've been blessed, like, to have a lot of my stuff left in over these years, which is pretty cool. Because then I get to look at things and I can actually point.
Point,
So
like,
when
that's
people,
Mom, that's me. I did that.
Oh yeah. And then, like, my friends will call me and they'll be like, "There was a joke that I know was totally you," and then I have to be like, "Guys, wasn't me." Like,
So what's some of the stuff you're most proud of?
uh,
Either characters or jokes or that.
yeah. Well,
that's-
this is stupid because it's not even a big thing, but I just really love Hammer Morty. If you remember Hammer Morty from the first season, where he screams, "I'm more than just a hammer." Like when they're attacking, like, I don't know, and the art of Hammer Morty made me laugh. It's such a little thing. There are definitely bigger things I've done,
yeah.
but I always, when people ask that question, I always think about this little pin I have of Hammer Morty, and I just look at it and I'm like, I made this.
yeah,
This is a thing I
That's
did.
awesome.
But there was, like, that Parasites episode from season 2, where there's a million characters that we had to come up with.
Right.
We all sat in a room one night, and it was easily the most fun I've ever had at Rick and Morty in one night. We were pitching 900 characters, and it was there's, like, things in there, like, I think Baby Wizard was one of mine, and then there's more, and there's, I don't know. It's hard to remember exactly because, like, there are things I think were my jokes that are probably not, and there's things I think are other people's jokes that are actually mine.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. My
Well,
buddy,
because you know, so many drafts and so many iterations, and like everyone's talking. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, and because you like key on something that's funny, and before you have a chance to remember who said it, you're already adding on to it.
Yeah.
So like you get to the end of the day, and you're like, whose pitch was what?
So season 1 is done. What is the vibe you're getting from just the general world after it? Like, what are you feeling? Like, we made the show cool, or is it like, are you feeling the fans, or is it...
Yeah, I think after season 1 we were like, oh, this found an audience.
Yeah, it really did.
Like even in season 1, like when they were airing, it was like, oh wow, people are like tweeting about this and talking about it, and then Larry Sanders, the most important person on the planet, was screaming,
was getting high.
He
and
was
watching.
doing his job, and he stopped on the middle of the court doing his job to yell out a Rick and Morty reference. That doesn't sound like a guy who would quit basketball for weed.
For weed, no, not at all.
Maybe Rick and Morty is like, he's like, man, what am I doing with my life? Like, I should be making stuff like Rick and Morty. You know, he wants to be like an artist now.
Yeah.
And then so season 2 comes. Now, how is the difference between like, okay, we kind of have some stuff figured out, right, with season 1, and we kind of know where the characters are. How do you go into season 2 differently? Or is there?
We didn't.
Yeah.
We went into it with blue skying.
Yeah.
And then same process, blue skying, and then drafts assigned. I think in the second season we discovered early on. I know I was there.
Oh, good. Oh, sources. Sources close to the source. Sources close to Rick and Morty, say.
I was there, and we found out that like when you get Summer out on adventures, and you can take the family out of the house, and you can take them out on adventures, and you can make them part of the intergalacticness. And Summer really found her voice in season 2, where we were like, as fun as it was to have Morty push back on Rick, it's like almost more fun to have Summer push back on Rick, because Summer is a lot like Rick in a lot of ways, and Morty isn't that much like Rick in a lot of ways. So yeah, it was just early on we discovered like more about let's science this season up.
Got it.
And have it go more intergalactic.
Yeah, because you forget about that. Like, when you watch these iconic TV shows, like early Simpsons, it was all Bart. And then it went to Homer, and now I have no idea what it is. I mean,
it's back to Bart.
Is it back to Bart? Okay, great. But like same thing with Seinfeld, you know what I mean, like that. So it's interesting to see shows shift, and then to hear from sources inside the room of how it happened and how you discovered that.
And it was also just like finding more. We weren't doing the best job of servicing Summer or Jerry or Beth by keeping them in the house all the time. It was like, I really want to see what Summer is like out there in space. When she's like stuck in the spaceship. That's being attacked, and it's like it's making little fake kids that melt, fake dead kids, if you guys remember that part.
As for people who don't know how cartoons are made, like myself, what's the schedule like? Like, you get done right? How long is the writing process? How long is the animation? How long is it to air? Because it takes a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably stretch the limitations. Like I think. More functional shows do it faster than we did, but it was like a year and 9 months between seasons. So
that's a long time. Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you the exact. I just know that we'll write a script for months, they will draw it for months, and then they'll send it off to the animation company that animates it for months.
Got it.
It's a very long process.
But isn't there lots of like iterations? Like, you're getting stuff back and probably saying, oh, that doesn't work, let's change it.
Yeah, that's what's cool about animation is you can spurs.
I mean, that's what I do. I go record the spurs. I start animating it. I go, this doesn't work. I'll rewrite a whole scene.
Yep.
Go record it again, and it works usually then.
Yep.
But everything's almost written and animated twice.
Yeah, we do. That's exactly what we do. I mean, we have gone to storyboard and had animatics of episodes that we completely scrap.
Whole episodes.
Wow.
And we've done that, I think, since season 1.
Wow.
Every season, I think there's an animatic that gets completely scrapped.
So what's that like? Like, who? Like, I assume like Dan or Justin makes that decision.
Yeah,
and they're just like, hey, we're scrapping this whole thing.
Yeah, it becomes where it's diminishing returns trying to fix it, and you just go like, we will do ourselves and the audience a greater solid if we just throw this in the trash. Maybe bring it out of the trash later when we can like think about it more. And just start with one of our other literally hundreds of ideas we have on the board that are all viable, but we've just chosen, the ones that we've chosen because we thought they were the most viable. And then we get far down the process and we find out, nope, this wasn't the way to do it. The cat's out of the bag now, but the episode 2, which was the Mad Max episode,
Right.
that was for months and months and months a story about Rick and Morty. Rick has a thing called a bookalizer, and the bookalizer lets you go into books, and they found a novel that Jerry had written and sent off to one of those web services that publishes your novel, actually, so you could say you have a written novel, and it's super embarrassing. For him, not for people who have done it. I saw.
No,
It's one of our
too.
on this podcast. We have a whole segment called guerrilla marketing. One of our guerrilla marketing ideas is to write a book about like NBA hot takes and how we're never wrong. So we can say we wrote the book on never being wrong.
I know NBA hot takes.
Yeah.
I wrote the book on it.
Yeah.
Here's my
Please do
Amazon
it.
13-page.
So we haven't done it yet, but we're gonna self-publish it. Yeah.
I will definitely take a free copy of that.
Okay, great.
If you ever
great,
do it.
great.
So it was a bookalizer.
So yeah, they.
But that's a great idea to have like a Jerry book, like to see what it'd be like.
Yeah, that's what we thought. It is a great idea, and there was a ton of fun in it. And, like all the writing staff had their hands in that draft at some point, I think. And we tried our hardest to make it work, and it just felt like it didn't work. And and it was like getting away from the themes of like dealing with the divorce. What I love about the second episode, the Mad Max one, is that, it's all about Summer dealing with the divorce in like a very comical way. And Morty also with his big arm. I don't know. Like, I feel like we made the right decision, but yeah, there's a huge scrap heap of.
Well, you got to go back to that at some point, or make a web extra.
Yeah, but now the cat's out of the bag. I don't know.
Yeah.
People would be like,
Well, when you described the bookalizer episode,
It was so much better.
it was so much better. And
Do
now
you have to
it's
deal
a
with
letdown.
that? Did you have to deal with like the well actuallys on the internet? at all?
well, this season, I hate to even give them a little bit of service. I won't. We're getting weird alt-right or whatever, or just like toxic masculinity fucking weirdos coming out against our female writers.
Really?
No,
Yeah.
that is
What
like
is
so
that?
insane. It always happens though. Anytime there's like a successful woman, people just like, I don't know, these alt writers, they just go crazy.
They know we had a gender balanced writing room, not counting Dan and Justin. So we're saying gender balanced, but not almost gender balanced. This time around, and it was like the exact same. It was totally comfortable. We went around this. We did everything we've always done, and I think the episodes turned out great. But because these writers were women, they're getting.
So people are just like
they're tweeting at them a lot, and then some Reddit comments and things like that. But we're all laughing about it behind the scenes because like these are like very successful, very self-actualized, very well put together women who understand what a troll is. But
it still sucks.
It sucks to be put in that position because
horrible.
like I understand what a troll is, and I've read some things about Rick and Morty sometimes that make me feel bad. Like I've been told episodes I wrote were bad by people online. And but I don't get any of the women stuff. They just say your stuff was bad, not because you're a woman, just because you're a bad writer.
Have you ever read anything like where they rank the episodes, or like
Yeah,
But
do you
what
read
Tom's
that
saying
stuff?
though, I mean, I think it's true. It's like it seems like it's so group written.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine Dan does like a pass where he like redoes a lot of stuff
Yeah.
anyways.
Well, that's what's hilarious is like these people these trolls will cite examples from episodes they don't like because they think that was a part written by one of our female writers, and it totally
And
wasn't.
you're just like, no, it wasn't.
But you don't like. There's no reason we should be out there explaining anything to these people about how a writer's room works. But if nothing else, I've learned this season that most of the world fundamentally doesn't understand how a TV show is created.
Yeah. Until they listen to this podcast.
Right.
Yeah,
We gave them some stuff.
Yeah, they come in, they think, I'm going to hear Rick and Morty writer, this is going to be like a really funny podcast. And then they're going to listen to me give a fucking sermon and a lecture for 40
I don't have the
minutes
reference
straight.
they won't understand.
No. This is the off season.
Yeah.
It's about what
And
we're
then-
interested in. We're interested in
I'm
how
sorry, guys.
how something great gets made.
If you go to my Instagram, there's a picture
Jokes.
of me naked with my hand over my balls.
Oh,
Just drink it in. That'll be a joke.
If you go to our Instagram, there'll be plenty of hilarious memes.
Yeah,
that Dave
Dave
Feudernick does.
Feudernick
Oh,
does.
really?
Yeah.
Man.
We put him the meme king.
Feudernick is the meme king.
Talk about a baby wizard.
Yeah, we put him in charge. He's the director of social media for us.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one thing I'm interested in. The third episode of this season, I thought was one of the best episodes of the season or of the series.
Oh, great.
Pickle Rick. Can you just give us like?
You know it was written by a woman.
Oh, never mind.
Ooh, we'll edit this out. We'll edit this out.
Go,
Yeah. Wow.
Terrible.
Oh my gosh.
So maybe just take us like how was that, like someone pitches like, oh, what if Rick was a pickle? Like,
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what happened.
Sure.
And also Jessica Gao, who wrote this episode, she was on this Rick and Morty podcast. She told this exact same story. You can hear it from her mouth, but I'm going to say the same thing. We did this thing where we're doing in the writer's room third season to make it more functional, which is hilarious because it took so long to write. We are going to be writing for 50 minutes, and then a timer would go off, and we take a 10-minute break. And then we come back and write for 50 minutes and take a 10-minute break. So we had these timers. And Dan Harmon was usually the one who had the timer up on his computer. So we were just in the middle of a discussion. And it was kind of like a general blue skying discussion. And Dan, in the middle of what he was saying, sort of cut off what he was saying because he had seen the timer. And he goes, and there's 5 seconds left. So Rick is a pickle. And then the timer went off and we all went to break. And we kind of laughed about like, Rick is a pickle. We all laughed at the time.
Yeah.
And then we came back from break. And I think it was Dan who was like, I think there's something. Let's keep talking about this pickle thing. So it was a joke pitch. It was just a joke pitch.
Yeah.
But we were having such a fun time that day that there are days in the room where you feel like you can make anything work. Like the stupidest idea is actually the best idea because imagine when the audience finds out that the stupid premise is going to smack them in the face at the end of the episode.
I got one more question. One more before we'll wrap up the writing part.
Okay.
What is kind of, I know we've had talks before and about like, what is your philosophy as far as like, what is like, for comedy reasons, like what is off limits? Like there's been a lot of conversation about that, especially like we're in a more woke time and things are problematic and we're being more sensitive, for reasons, obviously. But sometimes that goes against maybe your comedy instincts. Like, how do you combat that? Because I know, we've had...
I'm a really racist writer.
Yes.
Sexist writer.
Yeah. And we've had conversations about this for years. I mean...
The writer's room is,
Tom is not a racist.
I'm very white and I'm very blonde.
In public, he's not.
And I've been called racist my whole life. But Matt, you probably get it too, right?
It's our cross to bear.
No, Matt's super woke.
Our cross. Yeah, it is super hard being white.
It's very hard to be.
It's the hardest.
Matt edits
a tall,
out anything.
handsome white male.
Matt,
it's real tough.
if I call someone fat, Matt edits it out.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there are no rules in the writer's room.
Yeah.
Like, the worst stuff in the world gets said, but it's all in the interest of like. Usually it's, like a character is saying it. We're doing the impression of a character saying it, and it's a despicable character. So you don't want to like, in the writer's room be like, oh, we shouldn't say that in here. It's like you can say anything you want in the writer's room because it's all
that's like
servicing. Yeah, it's like, like
blue sky, nothing wrong.
Blue sky, no wrong answers, and also bad pitches like help the process too because you go, well, that's a bad pitch.
Got it.
And then you go, well, so we don't do that because that's a bad pitch. Okay. But maybe we do a cousin of that, which would be a good pitch. And then it's just in the script writing. I honestly don't think we've ever written anything where like we're doing a table read and the room goes like, ooh, we shouldn't say that or anything like that. Like I think everyone has had enough like a high enough tolerant IQ to know what not to write in a draft and what isn't funny and what doesn't make good television. So it's a discussion we've never had about like how far is too far. We just take it almost discussion by discussion by discussion, episode by episode. And there are some, like when we knew that Morty was going to have an intense experience in the bathroom with Mr. Jellybean, we didn't necessarily know like how far that was going to escalate at first. We just knew story-wise, like Morty's having a great time on this adventure. Everything's going good. It needs to take this turn at this point to service the rest of the story. So, and I remember Harmon saying, literally his words were, what if he just has a really intense experience with like a stranger in the bathroom? That's like really uncomfortable and, like makes him like so shook that we actually see Rick have to care about him. Because Rick has been like antagonizing him the whole time, but we want at this moment Morty to be like, everything is good, everything's so fun. And then he goes away and he comes back and he's like, I just want to go. And then Rick is like, oh my God, I have to protect my grandson. Like something awful just happened. And that worked on so many levels for future character development. Like I'm so happy we did that episode. But that sequence when it was animated and storyboarded and written, all stages was like handled with gloves to make sure that like it wasn't too triggering, to use a word I hate. But and I think we did it. I think people were like, there was some backlash on Twitter about like, don't watch this episode. I got triggered. But like in retrospect, you can't account for everyone's personal experiences. You just have to follow what you think is funny and serves the story. Yeah. And it wasn't like a Howard Stern shock jock joke moment that we just threw in there. It was a very important plot point. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing people forget. There's 6 billion people in this world. Like someone's gonna be mad at you.
Someone got triggered because Rick was a pickle.
Yeah, someone got hit in the face with a bagel once at college.
Right.
Yeah, and hates all bagel-based comedy. Yeah,
I got dunked on once. I get triggered when I see people get dunked on.
You got dunked on?
Yeah, I got dunked on.
Oh, when?
High school.
Ooh,
you played in high school?
No.
But
It wasn't
you're a good basketball player.
It wasn't in a game.
You're a good basketball player.
Thank you. I'm working on my jump shot. I'll tell you about it after the podcast. But I used to shoot across my body. Now I'm not shooting across my body.
Lonzo
So
Ball.
you started that
Yeah.
like Lonzo.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that how he does?
Yeah.
I always think of like Tayshaun Prince.
Yeah,
Do
little
that, too.
Tayshaun. Wow. That's enough basketball talk.
Yeah. Is that too much?
All right, since we have you here, Tom, I'm just gonna pitch you some Rick and Morty ideas.
Wow, you got trapped.
You could just tell me. He's
got spec
What do you-
scripts.
can I
got
ask
ideas.
before you do this?
Sure.
What is your best case scenario in your head for you pitching me these ideas?
just that you tell me the bad. I mean, there's no. I just have these ideas, you know.
Okay.
It's just random. This was just a
look-
coincidence that you're here. He was
Right,
planning
right.
to pitch me Rick and Morty.
Yeah. No.
And it just happens that you were
No,
here.
I
this
just
week.
thought you're coming in, so I'm just gonna pitch you ideas.
Hey
you know?
man, listen, like if I like them, maybe I can talk to some people.
No,
and
it's-
Oh, that's cool.
I got a manager I can introduce you to.
Tom, we've already discussed how excellent my job is. Don't worry.
Okay, but I'm just saying is like if you like.
Okay, all right.
If you really want the job, like.
Well, I helped on all the good
You'll
ones.
do whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
I'll do whatever it takes. Tell Harmon that. Tell Harmon.
Okay.
Whatever he needs.
All right. Well, it doesn't. It's got to go through me.
It's got to
go
man.
through.
It's
Yeah.
gotta literally
you.
go.
Yeah.
And Harmon. All right.
Right
Okay.
through him. Right through.
Whatever.
Tom.
All right.
Just saying.
Tom's a producer now.
It's true.
He's allowed
It's true.
I
to
can
take
produce
sexual
That's true.
a
favors.
That's
huge
true.
bunch of semen.
Oh,
in my
actually,
mouth,
you know
is
what?
I'm saying.
Here's my best case scenario. Here's
Best case scenario is
Here's
I
our
have
best case
sex
scenario.
with you and
Yeah.
you get me a job.
And you
right.
get locked into my apartment complex.
No,
I'm sorry, Matt. Go on. What is it?
So here's
Schwicki
the
2?
is if one of these ideas pops up on season 4, and then I sue Rick and Morty for stealing my ideas off the Super Rivers podcast. That's the best case scenario.
That's actually a pretty solid plan.
That is a pretty good plan.
Actually, this podcast is gonna be me pitching.
You're banking on me being so like destitute in the room
Yeah,
and
you're like,
frustrated
"Oh."
that I'm gonna pitch your ideas
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I feel like my job's on the line. Yeah.
No, I
Solid bet.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Here's an idea for an episode.
All right,
okay.
here we go. Oh God.
Rick is starting to smell like an old person, because old people smell funny. Morty also smells bad because he's like puberty, So they eliminate the entire world's sense of smell. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah,
that
pretty good.
just-
Pretty
that's-
good.
That's
How far would that get? Would that get on the board or just immediately shot down?
That would, in the first 2 months, it would certainly get discussed for at least 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
that's not bad.
Okay.
And I'm sure Justin he'd start improvising that idea with both the characters.
Oh! I have another pitch. Okay.
Okay.
They Rick and Morty find shitty versions of themselves. All right. The Rick sounds like this. Hey Morty, I'm Rick Sanchez, and the Morty sounds like this. Oh jeez, Rick, it's me, Morty. So that's what they sound like, and they're played by me. Okay.
Okay, so that's not your impression of what they'd sound like.
No,
that's
no, no.
literally
That's
what they
literally
sound
what they
like.
sound like.
bizarro
Rick and
Morty
because they're
sound
played by
like
me.
that.
What do you
Wow.
think? What do you think?
I think that's a terrible idea. Go on.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay.
All right, well,
each
look.
their own.
I don't
each their
know,
own.
guys. Listen.
Okay,
I don't know what
Rick.
to say.
I have to deal with this every week.
Rick.
This is-
Rick takes Morty to the whore dimension to lose his virginity.
Okay, well, that is a fantastic idea.
All right.
That's
Okay.
a pretty good.
But Morty, he's inexperienced, so he forgets to use protection.
Can I just say, we have talked so much about Morty getting laid,
Right.
about Rick getting Morty laid.
Nice.
So Rick shrinks Morty down and injects himself into the girl to destroy his own sperm before they impregnate the girl. So Morty has to destroy his own.
That
sperm.
took a turn.
That is that is so eerily similar to an idea we've discussed.
Okay.
I'm not just saying that. That's so crazy.
I've got a pitch. How about Rick really gets into basketball and Morty introduces him to a basketball podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like
Super Hoopers?
Super
To be
Hooper,
honest,
something like that, you know? Just like in the whole episode revolves around that.
Where these ideas came from, I tried to think of ideas based on basketball. I couldn't think of any ideas. Any basketball related Rick and Morty pitches. So.
All right,
Yeah.
what other bad ideas do you have next?
That's it. That's all I have, really.
I wouldn't say any of those were bad ideas.
Right. They're just not great.
They're just your ideas.
Thanks.
Should we move on to headlines?
Yeah. We can. You want to do headlines next?
What do you want? What else?
Let's do Get At Me, Doug.
Oh, okay. Let's do Get At Me, Dog.
Get at me, dog. Get at me, dog. Get at me, dog.
Tom, this is where you could. Speaking of good ideas, this is a game John and I play. We pick an NBA player each week. We get one tweet at them. If they respond or fave it or whatever, we score points.
Oh.
Yeah.
Have you already done it, or are you doing it right now?
We've done
it. We did it ahead of time.
Okay.
John was supposed to.
Oh, I
tell
didn't
you.
get to do it?
You can do it. You can do it right now.
It was
we can
in
take a
the
break
email.
if you want.
It was in the email?
It was definitely in the
Fuck, man.
We can take a break
And
if
I
you
think
want.
the text too.
I don't know.
You want to do it?
No, I'll just do it live.
Okay. All right. So
I'll do it live.
It's
Okay, we'll do it live.
it's Frank Kaminsky is the player. He's a large white
Oh,
gentleman.
yeah, from Wisconsin, right?
Yes, from Wisconsin. He now plays for the Charlotte Hornets, I think. His Twitter is at FSK Part 3. All right, so my tweet to him, I said, gonna start a petition for Frank Kaminsky to cameo in Game of Thrones, thinking he can play Braun's less charismatic brother, Ron.
And?
We wait till John has to say his, and then we reveal
sorry.
what happened.
I apparently missed a huge part of this email.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
All right. So here's what I did. Here was my strategy.
Oh, Tom, what do you have to know? John's like super sneaky. He always does all sorts of shady stuff. with
No,
his
I'm
game.
trying to win the game.
He always does stuff like retweet if you agree, fave if you don't, that sort of thing. And he always like adds other players to it to make it seem like, it's like a big conversation
play
going.
to win the game.
All right.
Yeah.
Right? So I saw Frank was tweeting, right? Like he was that's a key.
Oh, I saw Frank was a big Game of Thrones fan. That's why.
That's why I saw
Okay.
yours, and I was like, "Damn, man, that might be a good one."
He's also a big Eminem fan. He has a Eminem quote in his bio, and then like his layout picture is like from 8 Mile.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
Eminem fan.
Big Eminem
wow.
guy.
Wonder why.
Way to go against stereotypes, Big Frank.
All right, so he was like tweeting at someone else, and they were making fun of the way he shoots, right? Or 3-pointers. He's like, so he was responding to them. So I tried to chime in with he was like, yes, they're talking about 3-pointers. He says, yes, you're shooting at only 29%, and he said, wow, that sounds really good. And I was like, well, you're shooting 100% on owning these idiots, though. And then hashtag why they hate and hashtag like faux real. Thinking that he would retweet it. And that was my strategy.
All right.
Tom, what did you tweet? You just tweeted, right?
I just tweeted. Here's what I came up with. Hey, Frank, cool name, by the way, BTW I put. Not instead of by the way. Too many characters.
Yeah, nice.
I'll start over. Hey, Frank, cool name, BTW. Looking for that fire cheese in Wisconsin. Give this curd hound a wreck, or as you call it, an assist. Now, I'm banking that he likes cheese quite a bit.
I think that's a good, safe.
But I did say cool name. So
maybe.
We'll see.
I like that. That's a good strategy.
So, John, did you get anything?
I got a lot of likes, but not from Frank.
Wow. I don't even get any likes. I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I got nothing.
I got mad Frank fans liking it. I thought it was gonna work.
Any basketball cameos coming up in Rick and Morty, Tom?
Well, there was a basketball hoop cameo.
Oh, there was a basketball in the last
in
episode.
the Vindicators episode.
Yeah, there was a
where they had to shoot 3-pointers.
Yeah. Any? Do you want to get any players on the show though? You got any dream players?
Oh,
The entire 2004 Pistons championship team.
fuck yeah. I mean, listen, for how much my father loves Bill Laimbeer, I feel like he'd be so proud of me if I got Bill Laimbeer on that
Finally,
show.
finally. Just send him a picture of you and Bill Laimbeer.
Do you know, and I'm not saying this, do you think that people in the late 80s and early 90s really liked Bill Laimbeer because he was just he pushed a lot of black people?
That's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that's not why my dad liked it, but I just realized I watched that Bad Boys documentary and I was like, there seems like a race like people who love Bill Laimbeer. There might be some racial.
I would say
No,
for
it's
every
here.
successful
There
white
was-
guy, there's some of it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like racist, it's like, well, that's why you like Larry Bird. I mean, I think Jeremy Lin's a trash human. But the fact is, he is my favorite basketball player and will be until a better Asian replaces him.
Yeah, he's one of you succeeding in a game.
Yeah, and half of Jordan Clarkson.
not to get all nerdy with it, but they did a statistical analysis. And white American basketball players got drafted higher than they should have been, and were also more popular than they should have been given their stats. So that's just
Who's they? Like the Common Sense Bureau?
exactly. This is actually how most economics gets done. The economists run a bunch of numbers and they just confirm common sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Next segment that we do on the show, Tom. This segment's called Headlines.
Okay.
So you don't have to do anything for this segment. It's
Yeah.
just we just read headlines from the newspaper.
Yeah, Matt just
These are NBA headlines that seem to interest.
Just write
This
down
is
from
great because I'm not up on the news.
Yeah, so
is
we just
great.
recent news. Yeah.
write down the AP wire. This is actually, this is probably
Yeah.
great.
So I don't know if you saw this. Adam Silver is considering legalizing medical marijuana.
Oh,
No
wow.
word yet if it's medical marijuana or medical marijuana.
Headlines. Matt did quotes fingers,
Quotes for
which is like really great for podcasting.
Maybe
Maybe you'll learn the medium after another year and a half.
in Portland. There's a corn maze in the shape of Damian Lillard's head.
I did see that. I saw that on
Yeah.
the internet. Yep.
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, there's a potato in the shape of Markelle Fultz's head. Oh, never mind. That's his actual head.
Headlines. You can yell headlines if you want.
I can yell- okay,
You
yeah.
can yell out headlines if you want.
Dude, Markelle Fultz, if you don't know, Markelle Fultz has the head of a potato.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We believe you.
More Markelle Fultz.
Oh,
Headlines.
he's in the news.
Headlines. Did I do it right?
He did.
Yeah, no, you
did.
didn't.
Great job.
You gotta do it at the end.
Oh, sorry.
I know it's real hard to tell where the punchline is. It's hard to tell where the joke is.
Matt, just wink when you're
wink,
done.
there you go.
The
You're done.
punchline is doing this bit.
So, there's controversy. Markelle Fultz took Kobe over LeBron. He said, I think Kobe is better, but that's no knock on LeBron. He added, but what do I know? I'm a homeschooled idiot with a fucking potato head.
Headlines. Wait, is it headlines because they're all about heads? Is that just a coincidence?
It might just be a coincidence.
Okay.
That's just a weird Matt fetish.
We should do a bit. Actually, there was another headline. The same one though. Controversy. Markelle Fultz took Kobe over LeBron. He said, "I think Kobe is better, but that's no knock on LeBron." Proving in one sentence he doesn't know basketball or the meaning of no knock on. Okay.
Headlines.
All right,
Headlines. Stick to the head jokes.
right.
You were on a roll.
Ty Lawson signed for a Chinese team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that where he's at now?
He said, look, I wanted to play in the NBA, but it was a great deal. They gave me all the tea in China. And by tea, I mean vodka.
Headlines.
Headlines.
Tragedy. He's an
Ty
alcoholic.
Lawson is an
He's an alcoholic.
Oh. Is that part of the joke?
Oh, it's just like his background knowledge.
Yeah,
necessary for the joke.
He's been kicked off a couple teams for
I
alcohol.
thought that was your
He's
last line
battling-
of the joke. Was Ty Lawson is an alcoholic?
He's battling a disease.
That's a better. Yeah, well, that's how headlines go when I spend the whole week trying to come up with Rick and Morty basketball pictures.
Those were very good.
No, Tom, don't.
Do you have any more? Is that it?
Don't. That's it.
That's
all
it.
I
That's
had.
all
I
the
told
news
you.
this week.
That's all the news.
Wow.
Head
Actually,
jokes.
It's tough. It is tough to write headlines in the off season because there's not as many actual headlines to base your jokes on.
Yeah.
All right. This very last segment, Tom. We just relaxed. Last part of the podcast. Shout outs and beefs. Anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to beef with?
I've got a beef.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm beefing with myself.
Oh, okay. What'd you
Yeah. My cousin-in-law? My wife's cousin? What do you call that? Cousin-in-law?
do? Sure.
The Danimal, Danny, has made... the Danimal. He's the Danimal.
Don't want to beef with the Danimal.
Never
The
beef with
Danimal
the
gets crazy.
Yeah, he is. He's crazy. He created an awesome logo for us.
Oh,
a
right.
Super Hoopers logo. And I haven't given him a shout out yet. And I feel bad because we haven't used it too much because we're working on a couple things. But shout out to Danny for making this logo.
No. Come on. Shout out to Danimal. I mean, let's
Shout
not-
out to the Danimal.
Give the
for
Danimal its proper due.
Yeah, for designing our new.
Go on.
Yeah, designing our new logo and beefing with myself for because he sent me the logo 5 episodes ago and I just haven't shouted him out. So that's my beef.
Hey, don't
Nice.
beef yourself up about it.
Yeah. The
Blue sky.
do you know who Kevin Durant is, Tom? You heard of-
I think
you
he's
ever heard of the man?
Yeah, he's a tarantula person.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
He's kind of a loser. I mean, he's kind of lame. So on Twitter once he tweeted actually coincidentally about Mr. Potato Head Markelle Fultz. He tweeted that Markelle Fultz did a Hezzy Jimbo. And that's only for real hoopers out there who know what a Hezzy Jimbo is. That's what he's tweeted about, okay?
Okay.
So someone on Reddit did an analysis of Kevin Durant's game to see how many Hezzy Jimbos Kevin Durant did last season.
Oh my
And it
god.
turns out 11.4% of Kevin Durant's shots were Hezzy Jimbos.
Oh wow.
Is that like a Euro step?
I think it's a hesitation jumper, if I had to guess, based on the
Wow,
Hezzy Jimbo
not a true
parlance.
hooper.
I'm not a true hooper.
Not true hooper.
So can I have a beef with anything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
beef with
I have a beef with Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
Oh, no, what'd they do now?
Uh-oh.
I've been I want to donate my car to a charity. I just got a new car, and I want to donate it to
Humble
Planned
bear.
Parenthood. Yeah, new car. I just got my
Wow.
girlfriend's
Season
old car
Season
because
3
she got
producer.
a new car.
Oh,
That's my new car.
Dating
It's
a
her
rich
old
girl.
car.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
fine.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
Guys, get yourself a rich girl.
No, I always tell my students that. I say, look, if I had to do life over again, when you start dating, just, you could date anybody. Just, it's easier just to date rich than to date poor.
Guys, it's easy. Just get a rich person.
Yeah.
Just date, like, in college, there's plenty of girls out there. Just pick the rich one,
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That's what
yeah.
Tom Cruise did in Cocktail. And look how that turned out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I have no-
My wife, the daughter of refugees, super poor, and now, there's 5 of us living in a 2-bedroom apartment. So that's how that works out.
My beef with Planned Parenthood is I can't donate my car to them, so I'm gonna donate it to another place. But I want to donate it to them.
Oh.
Why
They
not?
don't have
take
they don't
cars?
have a car donation program.
Oh, okay, all right.
probably a lot of work.
Hey, Planned Parenthood, get a car donation program
your act
already,
together.
and maybe I'll stop beefing with you.
Can you sell it? Can you sell
Yeah,
the
I-
car
I-
and then just give Planned Parenthood
Yeah,
the
it's
money?
too much
It's probably
work. You
I
just
better.
wanna-
could do that.
He just
do
wants
that. You
to
could do that.
drive his car somewhere, and then
Or have them pick it up.
No,
or
they
have-
they pick it up.
Okay, all right. So he
Yeah.
just wants to sit at his house and then feel better about himself when a tow truck comes by, I guess.
That sounds about
That's a
right.
perfectly legitimate
That sounds
beef.
very
That's a
Good.
perfectly legitimate beef.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I got. Tom, anything else you want to?
God, there's so much, and
Actually, usually these are not basketball related. So
Yeah.
they're not.
anything that grinds your gears.
Who do you like? I got a question for you. Who
Yeah.
do you like in the comedy world? Or like, what's the thing that you're like, yo, this is what's funny?
I think Baskets is like the best show. on
Oh
television.
yeah, shout out Louis Anderson,
I
my man.
always loved the Flight of the Conchords guys.
Yeah,
and
those
everything
guys
they
are
do, even not together.
What about Nathan for you? I think that's the best.
I
show.
think Nathan Fielder is very funny. We had him on the show, you may remember.
Oh, and how was he in person?
I didn't get to meet him.
Oh, okay.
I met him
bitch.
once. I was at a party with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was in line with him. Yeah, weird guy.
Yeah.
He
I think
was
that's
like
the thing.
literally like, oh yeah, like this. I think he was on a date. I don't know. He had some girl with him, but it was just like very awkward, and it was like perfectly Nathan Fielder.
I'd like to shout out someone I like in comedy is Francesca Fiorentini, whose name I just looked up and probably butchered. She's the host of News Broke
News bro.
on AJ Plus, which is some web
Oh, AJ Plus is
Shit, I'm sure.
Ashton Kutcher's thing, right?
Oh,
that
cool.
AJ
That makes
Plus?
it better. Anyway, comedy, journalism, and nothing in between is on her Twitter bio.
Okay.
Anyway, I like her videos. I like her take on politics and a little bit of comedy thrown in.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
Thanks for coming on, Tom. Really appreciate
Tom
it.
Oh, I want to
Kauffman.
shout out my Frank Kaminsky tweet.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout it out. Go ahead.
Check that out on my Twitter at Tom Kaufman. Look at my
Very
Frank
good.
Kaminsky
Yeah.
tweet.
Especially if you're Frank Kaminsky.
Yeah.
Make sure to check
Especially if
it
you're Frank
out.
Kaminsky.
Like. All right. On
All
that
right.
note,
Yeah. See you next week, or
All right.
keep pooping.
keep hooping.
Have you ever been to a volcano when it was erupting?
You're now listening to Super.
They a bunch of guys who ain't never played the game. That's what you say, bro.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice.
That's terrible.